Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 weeks of keeping you guys waiting, we are finally going to tackle the Ratchet Deadlocked Turrets Only Challenge. Now, as you guys know, this is a little bit different. It's not a mini turret glove, it's a mini turret launcher, though it is the same concept. I had Alados make me a mod that basically gets rid of every single weapon in the game and gives me the mini turrets only, so instead of doing this in challenge mode, we will be doing this in a normal playthrough. I don't really have any specific rules for this challenge, since you can't avoid getting armor upgrades in this game, and you can't avoid getting Merc and Green either. So really the only challenge is that we're only allowed to use the mini turrets to kill enemies. There are a few bonus challenges that I throw in there for gets and shiggles, but that'll be explained later in the video. Anyways guys, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Give me a little bit of time and a little bit of suffering, and I will do the Size Matters Concussion Gun only run. I should have that up as a video either next week or the week after. Just understand, this is a painful challenge, so give me some time. Anyways, thank you guys so much for 5,000 subscribers. Here's to 6K. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see if we hit 6K. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started right away. The game starts with a tutorial section, and even though I used a mod to delete the dual Vipers and the magma cannon, we still end up being forced to use it for the tutorial, instantly failing the challenge. So is it possible to beat Ratchet Deadlocked with only the mini turret launcher? Well, no. We instantly had to use the dual Vipers. But obviously we're not going to end the video here. We're going to find out how much of the game is possible with only the turrets. Fortunately, once we get through this tutorial section, we head through the teleporter to compete in the qualification match. Fortunately, ammo is abundant here, and the enemies stand absolutely no chance against the turrets, given the fact that we're supposed to have them way later in the game. After qualifying, we talk to Al and receive our battle bots, Kronk and Zephyr, Merc and Green, who will be helping us throughout our journey. We can't avoid obtaining these robots, unfortunately. It would be a fun challenge to not use them, but unfortunately that's just not possible. But to make it a bit fair, I will not be upgrading them at all, just to keep them from being too overpowered. We then meet up with Clank in his nice digs, before being sent out to the arena for another match. I'm not gonna lie. This challenge was actually pretty tricky, since the turrets in this game don't shoot as fast or as accurately as they do in the other two games. So I wasn't quite used to how they worked in this, and because of this, I found myself getting swarmed a few times with just nothing to do. I think this was mainly just due to the fact that I didn't know how the turrets really worked in this game, and I genuinely just haven't played this game in a long time, so that's on me. Anyways, even though we struggled, we did get past this mission and move on to the first planet of the game, Catacomb 4. Now, even though that last mission was really difficult, Catacomb 4 was the complete opposite. The first mission just has us taking out a few enemies and walking in a straight line. That's not a problem. The next mission has us cranking 3 bolt cranks, and as an extra challenge, I would try and do every single bolt crank myself, instead of having Merc and Green do it for me. Just as an extra little challenge to make it a little bit harder, and just to prove how good the turrets were at defending me. And in this mission specifically, they were very good at defending me. We then use the Landstalker to get through the next section. Obviously, we can't do this mission without the Landstalker, so unfortunately, we had to use it. However, any vehicle mission that allows us to leave the vehicle will be done outside of the vehicle, just as another extra challenge to make this even more difficult. The final mission just has us defending ourselves against a bunch of Green's mother, the zombies. And obviously, defending is what the turrets do best, so this wasn't a problem. And the Dread challenges weren't a problem either. That being said, it's now time for Sarathos. Sarathos was surprisingly also a breeze. This one's usually a bit of a challenge in a vanilla playthrough. The first bit was just a small path lead up to a small arena, with the next mission leading to the Puma, a rideable vehicle. Fortunately for us, we can actually leave the Puma, meaning I did this entire mission on foot. This mission wasn't too different from the one on Catacomb 4, we just had to spin some bolt cranks to progress to the arena. Fortunately for us, at this point, the turrets were already level 4 out of 10, making them a force to be reckoned with. The enemy robots were not a problem here at all, allowing me to spin the bolt cranks with no issues. The Leviathans, on the other hand, did take a little bit more effort to be taken out, but they still weren't too bad. Once we cranked all the cranks, we moved into the Leviathan's lair, which I will admit had a very challenging jump to get to without the Puma. I did not get this first try. Now, when it came to the actual lair, we had to use the turrets to defend Merc and Green while they hacked all the orbs. Unfortunately, I can't do that myself. Once all the orbs were hacked, the boss Leviathan came out of hiding. Fortunately, I had the Ravager, and I kind of just used it. So the Ravager plus the turrets were able to take this boss out in seconds. Now I do feel a bit bad for using the Ravager since this thing is kind of broken, but I figured it would be alright since the turrets would have easily taken this boss out anyways. The dread challenges for this one did unfortunately require vehicles, but again there's nothing we can do about that. Now after Sarathos we move on to Kronos, and this planet introduced something that I did not think would be an issue. We'll get to that in a second though. The first mission just tasks us with hacking a few orbs to activate this light tower thingy-majiggy. This mission was not a problem at all. There was an abundance of enemies, but it's nothing the turrets couldn't handle. We also got introduced to these big guys, as well as these flying Beyblades. The next mission has us facing off with the first exterminator, Shellshock. Remember his dad from Eudora? No, that's not actually his dad, but still, they look alike. To be honest, Shellshock's many boss fights are honestly a joke in the original game, so needless to say, he's a joke here too. The mission after Shellshock is where this level becomes an absolute pain like I talked about earlier. This part has us grinding many grind rails, and for some reason the game forces you to use the dual Vipers with no ability to change that. This means we had to carefully dodge all of the enemies on the grind rail without using any weapons. This definitely took us a few attempts since these guys' accuracy is insane. Now obviously you guys are probably wondering, Buninja, why is your dual Vipers level 129? So I guess when Alados was making this mod to just give me the mini turrets, shout out Alados, he was, I guess, messing around with how the XP worked, and for some reason, the Dual Viper and the Magma Cannon are both level 129. So I don't really have like an explanation to why. I'm just assuming Alados was kind of messing around with the code. The next mission is essentially the exact same as mission 1, having us activate another light tower thingy to open up the Citadel. Once inside the Citadel, we face off with Shellshock again. He decides to run away 3 times, but after enough effort and enough chasing him down, we were able to finally finish him off for good. Kronos' dread challenges weren't too much of an issue. The one with the walls coming in closer to us was a bit challenging, but we were able to get through it with some camera manipulation. The turrets only target who's on camera. I didn't realize this until this mission. We then head to the Avenger tournament. The first mission requires us to kill 60 enemies in 80 seconds, which is not an issue at all. During this mission, we also got the level 7 turrets. We are already very close to maxing out our turrets. The next mission is just a quick gun and run mission with some enemies in a few platforming areas. We do get introduced to the spiky deadlocked enemy. That's literally what I call these guys, because other than Secret Agent Clank, they never show up again. The final challenge here has us climbing the Tower of Power, which was a bit annoying at times due to timed platforming, but it wasn't too bad. After this mission, we got promoted to an Avenger. We then move on to Char, which was by far the hardest planet we've faced yet. Char immediately started with a heartbreak as I can't buy the Scorpion Flail, my favorite weapon and the most powerful weapon in the entire game. First challenge on Char has us facing a large number of enemies as per usual within this arena section. This was no issue at all. They were quite fond of sending these dropships at me with their very powerful and heat-seeking missiles. The next mission is where everything goes downhill. Normally in this mission you would pilot the Landstalker and take out all of these large turrets and enemy Landstalkers while commanding your bots to spin all 4 bolt cranks. Unfortunately for us, the Landstalker here is optional, meaning we have to do the entire mission without it. The first bolt crank wasn't that much of an issue. The issue was the second bolt crank across a snowy field of bullets. These enemies are so powerful, they can easily 1 to 2 shot me, and their accuracy and rate of fire is absolutely astounding. And to top things off, I can't spawn turrets in any of this watery section, which is like 90% of the playing field. So we were very limited on where we were able to actually place our turrets, which made this 15 times harder. This section took me much longer than I could have ever anticipated, accumulating around 20 deaths and around a half hour of pain, agony, and dismemberment. The only plus side is that every time you spin a bolt crank, the game actually saves your progress, so even if you die, it still saves the bolt being spun. So fortunately, after we finally spun the second bolt crank, the third and fourth were honestly nothing compared to what we just went through. Though we do get introduced to the crossbreeding of the Dax minigun guy and Kabuto the fucking Pokemon. The next mission was essentially the same thing as the last mission, but so much easier, tasking us to yet again spin even more bolt cranks. This was not an issue at all. Again, we just went through hell, so this was nothing. And that's it for the main missions on Char. What a pain in the ass. The dread challenges for this one were really easy. One of them was just another arena section. The other one spawned several ankle biters that we had to kill in a limited amount of time. And the last one was hilarious to me. It spread all of our weapons around, only allowing us to use the weapons that we randomly pick up throughout the level. But since we only have the mini turret launcher, that's all we could find around the field, which again, I found kind of comical. Nice try, game. Next up is planet Orcxon, and compared to what we just went through with Char, Orcxon was nothing. The first mission has us hacking open every path to the level while taking out a couple enemies. This could have been an issue with how much moving around we had to do, but fortunately, ammo was so abundant keeping us stocked the whole way through. The next mission requires us to crank another 6 bolt cranks, each crank defended by turrets and a lot of enemies. Unfortunately for them, my turrets were just so much better than their turrets. Not to mention, after the 4th bolt crank, we finally obtained the maxed out turrets, turning them into the Totino's Queso turret launcher, or something like that. And holy heck, are these things absolutely busted. These things made every enemy in this level an absolute joke, killing all of them almost instantaneously right as they spawn. This was so broken that the next mission, all we had to do was hack a bunch of orbs, and the enemies died so fast, this mission just flew by. I don't even remember doing it until watching the VOD back. They are also apparently as powerful as the Landstalker, since the next mission literally has Clank saying that you absolutely need the Landstalker to destroy these little thingy-majiggies, because nothing else can do damage to them, and yet the turrets can do it just fine. Sure, it took 9 shots, but that's not a problem. The Dread challenge in this level was also not an issue. It's just another kill X number of enemies in an X amount of time. So this was the same story as the other missions. With these levels out of the way, it is now time for the Crusader tournament. And unfortunately, the very first mission forces us to use the Hunter Mine Launcher, which again fails the challenge. So unfortunately, this is our second mission that is just not possible in any way without the turrets. Though to be fair, using the level 1 Hunter Mine Launcher as opposed to my level 10 turrets definitely made this a lot harder for me than it would have normally been had I used the turrets. The next mission is a timed mission, having us grind rails, kill enemies, and do a bit of platforming. Nothing too complicated. After this, we face off with Exterminator number 2, Reactor, the man she told you not to worry about. Reactor literally dies in less than 30 seconds. Good, he doesn't deserve Courtney gears anyways. And for our prize, we unlock a very colorful and quite literally a very ugly armor set. We do a few more Dread challenges in order to get enough Dread points to unlock the Valix belt and Toville. Valix belt has us moving from island to island, taking out multitudes of enemies. Again, most of them not standing a chance against our Salsa con Queso turrets. I genuinely felt like with how long this mission was, that it may be like tricky and I gotta try and conserve ammo. But oh my god, does this game just give you way too much ammo. This game genuinely needs to chill on ammo. I'm doing a 1 weapon challenge, and it's giving me ammo for all freaking 9 weapons. Like, dude, you do not need this much ammo. It should incentivize you to switch weapons more, but no, the game's just free. It gives you way too much ammo. While we're here talking about ammo, at this point, I did have 5 speed mods and 5 ammo mods, increasing the turret's total capacity to 8. Now, to be brutally honest, I have no clue how the weapon mods even work. I don't know how we get them. I don't know if they're random, but that's what I ended up with. Anyways, the next mission requires us to defeat enemies in the hovership, and unfortunately we couldn't leave the hovership for this one, so we had to do it vanilla. The next mission was another hack orb and defend Merc and Green mission. Nothing too crazy. The final mission has us trekking through a bunch of different islands with multiple enemies, but yet again, even this far in the game, we are still an absolute unstoppable force, completing Valix belt without batting an eye. Another hovership Dread challenge, and more bolt cranking shenanigans later, it's time for Toville. Toville's first mission actually gave us a little bit of trouble. All we had to do is take down these turrets, but the sheer amount of these turrets and other enemies on top of it made this one a bit tricky. My bots kept dying a lot, which was making it very difficult to get an EMP off on the turrets. And that's pretty much the only way you can actually damage the turrets. They are invulnerable until Merc or Green throws an EMP at them. So with them dying all the time, it was really tough to take these turrets out, even with my amazing turrets. The next mission is simple. We chase down and destroy some enemies on the hoverbike. We couldn't get off the hoverbike here, so we were forced to do it. The following mission was another bolt crank mission, and this one was actually a bit of a pain, which I liked. It seemed like the enemies never stopped spawning in this area. I think it's safe to turn the bolt crank. Next thing I knew, people are shooting at me. I came very close to death many times in a lot of these sections due to the enemies just being all different directions and the turrets only shooting what is on screen. The final mission just has us blowing up these 4 areas by the Ace Hardlight statue so that we could destroy it and reveal the escape pod. I had absolutely no issues with this one. Very quick, very easy. Toville only has 1 Dread challenge, and it's just a turret section, and I can't not use the turret. It's now time for the Vindicator tournament. Unfortunately, just like the last tournament forcing us to use the Hunter Mine Launcher, this one forces us to use more weapons we do not have, as this challenge cycles through most of the weapons in the game, except of course, the turret. We are now up to 3 impossible challenges with only the turrets. Hey, at least I got to use my sweet Scorpion Flail, and somehow it was still decent even though it was at level 1. I'm a little impressed by that. The next mission has us killing enemies while dodging explosive falling crates from the sky. For 2 minutes, this wasn't an issue. And after this mission is the third and most forgettable exterminator, the Eviscerator. Yeah, we beat him without taking a single hit. Wow, this guy sucks. After this, Al gets shot in the ass and dies. Not actually. Stigia starts with a mandatory Landstalker section before throwing us right into more bolt cranking missions. My turrets were acting up here, causing me to almost die twice because they didn't want to kill the enemies right in front of their faces. The next mission was actually pretty tough, since normally you are supposed to use the hover ship to defend Merc and Green while they hack the orbs. Unfortunately, the hover ship is not required here, and we can barely make it to this area below with well-timed charge boots and a hyper strike. The issue with this mission is just how many turrets and missile launchers there are, and these things do a lot of damage to Merc, Green, and myself. And they just kept killing Merc and Green mid-hack, so I'd have to keep killing them while reviving Merc and Green, and it was just an overall pain in the ass. And I actually did, for the first time in a while, die here, making me absolutely lock in the next attempt. The final mission just had us defend against enemies coming from 3 different areas, and I'd imagine if they didn't come from one area at a time, this would have been a bit tricky. But nope, one of the last levels in the game and the enemies are still Nimrods. As for the Dread challenges, well, Insomniac ran out of dev time, so there actually aren't any on Stigia. It just feels really weird not having Dread challenges. Anyways, it's time for Maraxis, where we have to rescue Merc and Green. The first mission has us heading up to an arena area where Merc is being kept. This mission was another cakewalk. We rescue Merc and head to the nearby Puma. The next mission really wants us to use said Puma, but you guys know that's not happening. The next mission is another bolt crank mission, this one being a bit annoying since there are a lot of enemies defending them. Fortunately, again, I'm awesome, so we took them out with relative ease, and we have to use an EMP to gain access to where Green is being kept. The entire next mission is just a huge arena section that has us killing enemies and lowering Green's cage to free him. And since I had the turrets, it was actually way quicker than normal having Green saved before any of the floor turrets came out, which was insane because in a normal playthrough, you'd have to like kill all the enemies and turrets before saving Green. Now, unfortunately, our immense speed doesn't actually matter since we still have to wait for the turrets to come up to destroy them, and this actually took forever. The Dread challenges for this one was just another ring race, only this time I realized you can do it without the Puma. And I gotta be honest, completing this with only the charge boots felt extremely satisfying. With Maraxis out of the way, it is now time for the final tournament, the Liberator tournament, where we are once again forced to use weapons that are not the mini turrets on the first mission. This time being the Arbiter and the B6. And trust me, being forced to use level 1 B6 was very painful, given the fact that this weapon sucks even at V10. The next mission just had us killing enemies while the game got faster and faster the further we went. This was genuinely not a challenge at all. It was a really cool concept, but it's insane that they didn't do this earlier in this game since this posed absolutely no difficulty. After this, we face off with the man, the myth, the legend, Ace Hardlight, who thanks to his healing lasted a minute and a half. Hey, not bad for what is thought to be the most powerful person in all of Dread Zone. What a disappointment. It's now time for the hardest Dread Zone arena in the game, the Ghost Station. The first mission was just another bolt cranking section, having us grind to each different section this time around. Fortunately, not that many enemies were on the grind rail section, and again, my turrets were great at defending me. This next mission is yet again another bolt cranking mission. Man, Insomniac really just didn't have the dev time for this game. They could have really cooked something up if they had time. Not that this game isn't great. I will say though, even though I've been talking up the turrets, I did have a major skill issue here, and I actually ended up dying. The next mission has us doing more orb hacking, you know, the second most common mission type in this game. This time we're moving room to room defeating enemies, and we did actually run into a bit of a roadblock here. This mission requires us to destroy these monitors, but unfortunately the turrets weren't able to target them. Fortunately for us, we had the Ravager charged up, which I'm very surprised, but it did actually do the trick. The final mission is just another hovership mission, meaning we are done with the so-called impossible Dread Zone arena. It's now time to stop Gleam and Vox, but before we're able to stop them, we have to stop the entire place from blowing up. The first section was actually really difficult for me, just due to the limited health and the confined spaces. I'm used to having more space to walk around, but these confined spaces really screwed me over. I died a couple times here, especially at the ending section. The last room killed us a lot, because the enemies were just annoying, and this thingy in the center was shooting out lasers that just did an insane amount of damage. Not to mention, Merc and Green were getting wombo comboed out the ass trying to place that last explosive. I mean, look at this crap. Once we finally got past this mission, the next few missions were the exact same thing, only easier. So there's no need to even cover them. With these missions out of the way, it's time for the final boss fight with Gleeman Vox. We did get a cheeky death to him once, but the second attempt was all it took. The sheer amount of damage the turrets do in this game is absolutely ridiculous, officially defeating Vox and beating the challenge. Is it possible to beat Ratchet Deadlocked with only the turrets? Well, no, since the tutorial as well as 3 other missions forced us to use other weapons. But of all 3 of the turret challenges we have done on this channel, this was the first one where we've been able to actually beat the final boss. So honestly, that's a win in my book. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The comments have been a little low recently on the videos. So again, if you guys don't know what to comment, just throw algorithm in there. I'll give you a heart react every single time, and it helps boost it to a wider audience. Thank you to all my members. You guys are absolutely amazing, and you really help financially support me so I can make more and more videos. Trust me, this weekly schedule is killing me, but you guys and your support really helps me push forward. If you want to become a member, click the join button down below. Anyways, that is all I have for today, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Buninja out.